Hey, Sideline Shenanigans fans. I'm Bryan Jones, your host. I have Coach Stevens from Greencastle High School. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and an opportunity to be on. I appreciate what you're doing for all the programs here in the state.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, the usual first question I ask on the show is what got you into coaching?
Oh man, um, I was a kid who was probably had a checkered background. One of those kids you hear about that like attended maybe 13 different schools from the time I was in kindergarten to the time I graduated. And when you go to new schools, new places, and stuff like that, athletics always kind of just helps you find a home, you know.
Mhm.
And I think what really stood out to me is when I landed my last stop in high school. My last 2 years was in Greencastle High School, and there were some great men who worked in the building who were great mentors. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. I thought maybe sports broadcasting or something like that. I think everybody who's into sports, in the mid 90s wanted to
Right.
be like the
Right,
next
right, right.
sports center, Stuart Scott kind of guy. And I
Mhm.
think I think just having some great mentors and stuff like that really appealed to me. And then the evolving like strategies, and the game was going in a different direction. It wasn't just 22 guys in a phone booth trying to fight it out. I mean, the advent of like read options, spread stuff, what Coach Spurrier was doing in the mid 90s and stuff like that.
Right.
I think it just the everything about it, the foundational skills from the mentors. I really enjoyed the weightlifting aspect of it. I enjoyed the pushing yourself aspect of it, and I really enjoyed the strategy part of it. And I was like, this is something that I think I want to pursue and give an opportunity to be, first of all, a mentor to kids who might have been in my spot, and maybe even kids who weren't in my spot, to kind of help them out, and maybe they can benefit the same way that I benefited. So that's really more than anything got me into football.
Okay. How do you define success for your team beyond the win and loss record?
Yeah, I mean, it's maximizing your potential. You know, for us, your potential at a 2A school is going to ebb and flow. You have really talented classes, you have less talented classes. You may have a class, I mean, we're blessed this year to have 16 seniors, but it's followed up by a class that has 10. And it's not that people get too caught up on the word culture. You know what I'm saying? Our culture
Mhm.
isn't great for our 26s and bad for our 27s. It's just the life in a 2A town, when you have other things that kids can do. And we have other great programs that they want to be part of. And I think that more than anything, you want to, no matter what your talent level is, you want to maximize that group's potential. And that's what we work hard every day. I tell parents in our parent meeting that, hey, if football is just a hobby for you, it's probably not going to be the right place at Greencastle, because we're going to push your kid academically, behaviorally, on the field, his strength and conditioning, every aspect. We're going to push him to reach his full potential. And if Johnny doesn't like being pushed, and Johnny doesn't like being
Mhm.
encouraged, then it's not going to be a fun time here.
Absolutely, absolutely. What is your overall coaching philosophy?
Well, those are one of those interview questions. I think that more than anything is that I want to use football as a platform, and I think there's a lot of great men in this profession that do it for. There is no glory. When you
Mhm.
win big, it's because you got great players, and when you lose, because you're coaching, you stink. So you have to be in it for other reasons, and I think more than anything is it's like being a dad for 60 kids a year. You get an opportunity, and some of them have great support systems at home, and some of them don't. And it's what can we do to make better husbands and fathers. I feel like that's the foundational skill set. We want people to be strong in our faith. We want people to be strong in the core family unit. I think that if we want our community to be successful, not just on the football field, but like Greencastle, the town. I mean, we want to make sure that we have a generation of young men who are willing to be leaders, that understand self-sacrifice and putting others' needs before themselves.
Absolutely, coach. What's what's your approach to balancing academics and athletics?
I don't think there's much of a balance. You just got to do it. It's these things that people get into buzzwords and stuff like that. You have chosen to take this on. So it's a skill set like anything else. You've chosen to be an extracurricular athlete. You have no choice in academics other than what you want your future to be, whether it's a trade school, whether it's graduating, going right, and we've got some great factories that you can go in and get employment in here in our town. We're fortunate for that. Or if you're going to go into a Big Ten school, an Ivy League school, it's all the same. You have to learn to manage your time. And I think what we do here more than anything when we're helping on academics is we really kind of help our guys develop a plan to structure planning their time, because the biggest skill deficit I see with all players, is that it's just they're not ill intended. They just may not get things turned in the right way just because they don't know how to plan their time. And we feel like we can be a pretty good support about helping them manage and use organizational tools to help them run their lives. I know I couldn't live my life without my calendar, Google Calendar, my old analog calendar, reminders on my phone, things like that. So we try and help them out with that kind of stuff.
This is the book that gets me through the day.
Yeah, and it's you're preaching to converted there. You understand it, you get it, and I think as a 16-year-old, sometimes you think I just got it in the brain there. It's good, it's locked in until 2 or 3 other things happen. You're like, oh no, I forgot to do that.
How do you emphasize more? What do you emphasize more, physical toughness or mental toughness?
It's got to be mental toughness. I've played for a coach, or coached with a coach rather, a long time ago, named Josh Bias, and he had a great quote. He goes, "The good Lord gave you a body that can handle almost anything. It's your mind you got to convince." So for us, it's always about mental toughness. It's your body can handle a lot of things you throw at it, but do you have the mental toughness to be consistent? Because you can ebb and flow. Come Friday night, everybody's hyped up, everybody wants to play. Do you have the mental toughness to do that Algebra 2 assignment in February when football's several months away? Do you have the toughness to get up out of bed and go to football workouts? Do you have the toughness? I could probably mail it in advanced PE today, but I'm going to get the best out of each one of my sets. So and all those things that those kids, nobody's checking on them. They have to check themselves. And so for us, we want kids to have mental toughness. And then there's one last part on that. I'll speak and I'll let you move on. Bill Belichick says, mental toughness is doing what's best for the team when it may not necessarily be best for you. And we have our guys kind of buy into that philosophy that like, it's the team. And the reason why we do that is because when you're a husband, you're a father, I told them guys, hey, listen, I had great visions. I bought a nice 86-inch television. I was going to watch football games on it and all stuff like that. But I've got twin 2-year-olds, and they want to watch Miss Rachel, and they want to watch Bluey, and they want to watch things like that. So my 86-inch TV, the sacrifice I make for that TV is that my kids get to watch that, and I don't get to watch as many football games on it as I would like to watch on, or sports on it in general. So that's the big thing for us is we want to make sure that kids know that the sacrifice is there, and it's there for a reason. It's for the greater good.
Okay, Coach. What's the hardest part of game prep?
Hardest part for game prep is we're a spread, no huddle team. So when you get film offensive, you're not sure what you're going to get every week. So we have plan A, we go in, all right, this is plan A. If we get this, and we've seen how they play other teams this way. And sometimes we get like one-off defenses. Like if you have like an exceptional basketball player, then all of a sudden they do like a box and one or a triangle and two, junk defenses. We faced 2 defenses last year that by and large, I don't know that you could find a clinic on. You couldn't find, it was something that was drawn up probably in a back room or a garage somewhere under the influence of a couple Miller Lights. But that's we see some of that sometimes. And I think that's the biggest challenge is like week to week is, okay, you got to have plan A. If everything's accordingly, we're good. And then you have, okay, what's plan B if they show up with something completely different, and how are we going to roll? So we keep people kind of see my call sheet and it's enormous, but we got to have that. We've got to have, okay, what if they decide all of a sudden they've been 3 down, now they're 4 down, cover 3? I mean, what if they're going to be 4-2-5 and they haven't shown that this year? We're going to have our plans ready for all the different scenarios.
Now, Coach, this is my favorite question to ask on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
What's your philosophy on special teams?
Special teams are huge. I was a guy that probably wasn't as much of a detail to special teams my first run as a head coach. Just kind of one of those things, and I think it was selfish because I didn't personally enjoy it. And then I went to be the offensive coordinator at Owen Valley under Rob Gibson, who's the head coach at Avon now. Um, and he was a big special teams guy from his college coaching days. And he emphasized and committed the time to it. And you see the payoff on it with starting field position, things like that. And he talked to me analytically about, hey, listen, when they start at this certain field position versus this field position, they score this percent of time. And like you get enamored with the numbers, like, okay, yeah, this is something that, you always say what's important, but to really emphasize it now. And if you look at the breakdown of our daily practice plan, I guarantee you that Greencastle spends as much time on special teams as any other team, and it's paid off. We won a game last year in the sectionals, hitting a 37-yard field goal to win the game, and that was a product of special teams and running guys on and off there. We didn't have any kind of procedure. At 37 yards, you can't really afford to have a 5-yard penpenalty. At that point, you got to make sure that your procedures are pretty good. So I think it's of the utmost importance, and we definitely value it here.
How do you coordinate with the athletic trainer and staff?
Well, we have a great athletic trainer here, and he does a great job. We talk, but I get daily updates, emails wise. So like I always know where guys are at, and it's fortunate for us is that we're completely insulary. Like I never have to make a decision. A kid sprained his wrist or whatever. I don't have to. Okay, he's in, he's out. Rob tells me thumbs up, thumbs down. He's out for the game. He's out for the half. He's out for the quarter. He's out for a day, whatever it is. And we just roll with punches like that. And, it's great to have that on our program because it's one less thing. As head coaches, about 10 years ago, the concussion thing really, really got serious. And, they taught us all, kind of look for signs of concussions like that. And we have to be testing them every year. But that's a lot of pressure to put on a coach like, hey, I'm trying to get 3rd and 14 converted here. And now I need to have somebody really locked in to make sure Johnny's okay and is he symptomatic or not. And now to have a trained professional whose only job is to do that is huge for us.
Do you script your first 10 plays?
I don't script plays necessarily all the time. What I will do is this on my call sheet is I want to confirm. If you're 2-by-2 open, teams typically will play their base defense and stuff like that. But you get into 3-by-1 open formations or empty formations early on. There's only so many checks that you have to live in a check world when you get into those kind of sets. And I want to see early how you're playing us in those things. So there's only a limited amount of time we can do it. So I'll get into different formations and different motions, not necessarily different plays. So I will have different things set up in the first 8 to 10 that I want to see that week to confirm what we've seen on film.
Okay. You said you have 2 twin little girls.
Boys.
Boys.
Yep. Carter and Connor.
How do you manage time with football and family time?
Oh, that one's easy. I have no personal life. It's school, it's school, it's football, and it's dad, and that's it. That's I try every night we get home and have to have that time, and whether it's play fighting, working on they're at the point where they're learning their ABCs and things like that, and they're getting more and more verbal. So it's just try and spend that quality time. We've kind of turned our house into like an entertainment place where like we don't have to leave to do anything. Like our family can have a
Right.
great time at our house, and then so we've spent quite a bit of money to try and make it that way. So if we can't get out of the house, we can still have a pretty good time together at the house.
Do you review practice film daily or weekly?
So we're fortunate enough. We use a drone to film practice, and so we'll film all of our small group work and our team sessions, and we'll review those and we'll score those daily. So what we'll do is the Tuesday after practice, we'll go through and we'll grade out our practice and look at stuff for those sessions for the inside run, 7-on-7 and team, offense and defense. And then we'll do the same thing on Wednesday. And then when the next day, we have a built-in 15-minute period where we review with the players just certain things that are highlighted. Hey, we're running counter this week. Left guard, when you're pulling, your aiming point's too high, and the defensive end was able to stalemate you, and that's why that run wasn't. Just little things like that for those guys to see. And sometimes we've seen things that we thought were great ideas on the whiteboard on Sunday, and then we're like see it on practice on Tuesday, and we're like, oof. No, that's not good at all. Take that one out. We're going to call that.
What's your go-to pregame meal?
Oh man, I'm one of those guys that like I get too like internally hyped up. So it's not. I don't eat before a game. I don't. I mean, our kids can do it and whatever. I just have never, as a player, as an adult. So black coffee and some Nerds gummy clusters. A couple of those get me through. And then now I will tell you this: Friday by 11, I'm ready to get my heat on by then.
What's your football origin story?
So I grew up mainly in Ohio, and I was fortunate enough to play at a time where we had the Mr. Football for the state of Indiana. His name was Curtis Enos, and he went on to play at Penn State, was All-American, was the 5th pick in the draft for the Bears the same year as Peyton Manning was drafted in 98. And so I was lucky enough to kind of come at a time where like football was really hitting a good wave of popularity and things like that. And it's such a rural school that like I think the graduating class had like 58 in it, before I moved to Greencastle, and like just really kind of fell in love. And I saw Kurt and Kurt's journey, and he lived, a block away from where I live, in town in a little small Union City. And it was like, this could be an avenue out. This could be, I could use this to better my life by focusing on this. Now, not necessarily a scholarship player, but use it, to get into coaching, make connections, things like that. So that's kind of my origin with that. And then moving to Greencastle and having a chance to be at a school where there's a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, just things kind of aligned really, really well. And I'm fortunate with the people I've met along the way.
Where did you play in college? Did you?
Did not. I tried to walk on at NES State University, and they have like their spring kind of, it's before spring ball starts where they run all the prospective walk-ons through.
Mhm.
And my dream was, hey, listen, I'm going to play, hopefully get good enough by the time I'm a junior, because at that point, University of Florida was still on the schedule. So I just want to be good enough to make the travel squad to maybe go do warm-ups in the swamp. That was the dream of 17, 18-year-old me. And then you come to find out, well, Florida dropped them and now it's going to be Tulsa. I'm like, okay, I probably need to go into coaching. This isn't. This, I'm not trying to make the travel team to play Tulsa. No disrespect to Tulsa, they got a great program, but like it's it was a little different on that, and it was the right decision. I was fortunate enough to be able to, while I was at Indiana State, parlay that into meeting Chris Barrett, who was the head coach at Terre Haute North at the time, and Greg Barrett was offensive line coach. Met some great people there at Terre Haute North, and what I knew about football and what I learned about football, as an unpaid volunteer for those 3.5 years at Terra North was incredible, and I can never thank those guys enough for building my foundations and learning the game of football and becoming a coach.
Like, I try to get coaches like Greg Barrett, Brian Crabtree, John Hart. I tried to get all of those guys on. I actually just got an email back from John Hart. But yeah, I it's crazy how you can build connections in high
Mhm.
school sports, especially in Indiana, which Indiana's pretty small in my eyes.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that definitely you interviewed Coach Hart's son down at Gibson Southern, and we was in the same conference. So when I was head coach at Pike Central, and he was at Gibson Southern, and one of the things I felt like there was kind of a bond between us is that we were really the only two teams running spread
Mhm.
at the time down in the pack, and so there was times where like, hey, can I get this film from you? I can see maybe how Tell City's going to play me, and here's film that I have, and kind of build a connection with that, and then maybe just and we were no threat to them, so it was like, hey, can I ask you this, can I ask you that? And when I got the head coaching job at Greencastle, he's one of the first people I went and seen because I think he does it as well as anybody at small school football, especially they're a spread, but they're a tough spread. Sometimes spread teams can get a moniker as like a soft team or things like that. And I don't think anybody would ever consider Coach Hart's teams soft. So like he's a guy I went to right away. But you're right. You got to build those connections. And even here in our own little county, we've got some great coaches. And we've got Tyler Lotz at South Putnam. Chuck Sorrell's really doing his thing at South Putnam. They got those things. They're a perennial top 5 team. And Coach Moore and his dad at North Putnam. I feel like we're blessed to have some good coaches. And we as much as we compete against each other, there are times where I think that it's that co-opetition. You know what I'm saying? Like where we want to desperately beat each other when we play each other. But if I need help Tyler out, if I need some help from Chuck, or if I need some help from Coach Moore, whatever, I feel like all of our guys here in the county have been very agreeable to help each other out.
Yeah, I actually, when Coach Moore was at Park Heritage, his first year playing at Attica,
Mhm.
my freshman year, we beat them in the sectional second round. Play against North Vermilion, and whoever was winning our sectional was going to the state championship, pretty
Yeah,
much.
nice.
Yeah,
That's
and
that's good stuff.
but unfortunately, we lost to North Vermilion last round on a heartbreaker play. All right, coach, if you weren't coaching, what would you be doing?
Woo, man, that's a tough one because I don't have any hobbies. I don't fish. I'm maybe the world's worst golfer. So I don't know. I mean, I think that I would. I really enjoy spending time with my kids. I'd probably be like in the Boy Scout leader or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Something mentoring youth. I mean, that's probably what I'd be doing. Something. I don't really have things that I would really enjoy outside of football and my family. I enjoy cooking for my family, so probably have a lot more that pit boss smoker would probably get a lot more use than it does right now. Probably smoking every kind of meat there is in the state
Right,
of Indiana.
right. Um, Speaking of food and pit boss, what's your go-to meal to cook?
Oh man, so I really love Italian food. Like some kind of like penne with arrabbiata sauce or something like that. Something good, with a little bit of spice to it. My family, they they love steak night. So they're like, hey, if dad gets some steaks going on the grill, that's just all right with them. So like that's usually the fan favorite at home. But no, I mean anything really is good. But yeah, any good Italian dishes is right up my alley.
Do you have a pregame ritual?
Pray for the safety of my players, pray that I do my best, and pray that my actions are those that manifest in a way that I would want to be manifested in.
What is something people would be surprised to know about you?
Okay. I think that, there's like the Coach Stevens persona, and then there's like Dave Stevens. I think
Hmm.
that Coach Stevens can be a little brash and, maybe even cocky a little bit.
Hmm.
Dave Stevens is a lot more humble and funny and, less intense. So I think that that would be something that like the guys who know me, see that side of me. Maybe other competitors don't get to see that side as often because, when that horn hits and it's time to compete, I'm going to be there and it'll be as intense as anybody during that time.
All right, Coach. This is the part of the episode where we get into the shenanigans part.
There we go.
All right. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you on the sidelines?
Sheesh. Okay, so I wasn't in the sidelines. I was up, and I want to save the names for this to protect the innocent and maybe not the innocent. I was on a headset, and it was my first time ever working with this coach. And so I'm upstairs. I'm a young coach, and I got my headset on. And this guy had come from the college coaching ranks. So
Ooh.
we're in our first official scrimmage, and he's F this, move your F and that, F that, F that, maybe about 8 times in the first 3 minutes. And the poor side judge comes up to this coach and says to him, Coach, I'm telling you right now, I know it's a scrimmage. You use the F word one more time, you're out of here. And that coach, deadpan, without missing a beat, said, Sir, because I don't know what you think you heard, but I'm a born again Christian. I would never use that kind of language in front of these young men. I was saying fudge. And that side judge goes, Oh, coach, I'm so sorry. I apologize. And then I thought to myself on the headset, this is 15 years ago. So this is like either this guy's a genius or a psychopath, and I'm not sure, but it's hilarious either way. I've told that story a million times in the last 15 years.
That's hilarious. Have you ever pulled a prank on your players or staff?
I'm not necessarily a big rib kind of guy. So I can't. No, not really. Nothing that comes to mind. I wish I had a great story for that, but I really can't think of anything that we've done there on that. If it comes to me later, I'll let you know.
Okay. What's the weirdest excuse you've heard for missing practice?
Oh boy, I've heard them all. My neighbor's dog died. That is got to be up there. I guess this was a very
What?
popular dog in the neighborhood, and so, but the neighbor's dog died, and he had to help him set up the arrangements or whatever for the neighbor's dog dying. So that one probably tops them all.
Which one of your players is most likely to end up a comedian?
Ooh, we got some good ones on it. We got a little receiver, Taven King, who just he always has a crowd around him, always says funny stuff, and he's started with the moniker of calling me Big Whistle, and that's kind of caught on with the rest of the team. So
I
it
like
just
it. I like
yeah
it.
he has snappy comebacks for stuff, not necessarily disrespectful stuff, but like just it's funny and I can appreciate his sarcasm and quick wit. So I'd probably say Taven King's probably the kid on our team for that.
All right, all right. What's your most embarrassing coaching moment?
Oh, that one's hands down easy. I was a junior varsity coach offensive coordinator at Terre Haute North. I was probably 22 at the time. I'm fired up. I have my call sheet. I'm ready to go. I can't wait. We get the ball first. All right.
Mhm.
And this is the very first game of the year. So we're getting ready to go. And I'm like, I got the perfect play called or whatever. And then we get the ball. I call the play. And then all summer, you're not allowed to touch quarterbacks. So as people get close to quarterback, you just blow the whistle. Well, I did not take my whistle off the first play of the game. I slid around for warm-ups on. And then as somebody got close to our quarterback in a real junior varsity game, I blew the whistle and then immediately realized what I'd done, took it off my neck and chucked it about 20 yards there. Luckily, it didn't cause any issue with the play. And and so I was hoping that the other JV coaches wouldn't bring that up with the head coach because you always want to impress and oh, he's doing a great job, stuff like that. And I think we lost a close one, but the story getting back to the head coach was, yeah, you'll never believe what Stevens did. And so that's definitely probably my most embarrassing moment as a coach was my first time ever calling plays, and I blew the whistle because they were getting too close to our quarterback.
Okay. So I'm gonna preface this for the viewers and you. If you were to get into a boxing match with any coach in the state of Indiana, now I don't condone violence here on this podcast. Who would it be?
Oh, geez. Man, I'd probably say somebody I've worked with. So probably Coach Gibson. You know what I'm saying? He's a scrappy guy, and he may fight a little dirty too if he needs to. And I appreciate that about him. So if I'm gonna box anybody, it'd be old Coach Gibson.
Okay. If the Tiger Cubs made a movie, who would play you?
Ooh, probably Shane Gillis. You know?
Yes. I'm
Yeah,
a I'm
we get enough makeup on him to get him to look like Coach Stevens. Be intense, but have some of the moment of like just a little bit of humor mixed in there.
Okay, which coach in your staff would win in a staff foot race?
Whew. Okay, so I would say I've been blessed enough. This is my second time at Greencastle, and I've been able to get some players that are right around that late 20s mark that still has some athleticism left in them. We
Mhm.
just brought a kid who was in all conference, all Wabash Valley safety and receiver for us, and who owns a weight facility, workout facility here in town named Mac Shuey, and just competed at like a natural bodybuilding contest. And he is rocking about like 6% body fat. So he would hands down shred everybody on our team and coaching staff on a race.
Okay. Coach, I want to thank you for coming on.
Hey, I
My,
appreciate it. I was anticipating my favorite drill question,
oh yeah, we can do that. What's your favorite drill?
board drill. Nothing, Russ Grimm played lineman for the Washington Redskins. I
Mm.
have a T-shirt that says there's no greater feeling in the world than moving a man from point A
Ah.
to point B, and it says dot 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 against his will. And when you get on that board drill, there's nowhere to hide. You can't sling him back and forth. It's your handwork and your footwork and your tenacity to see who's going to win off that board. And head to head, nose to nose. And I just love the old school kind of meathead mentality about it. It's not something you can do every day, but we like to have it too. When we feel like practice isn't as quite as competitive as it needs to be, hey, I'll stop it. Here we go. Circle up on that G. Let's get the board out and let's see who wants to compete today.
Absolutely, I agree. When I was in high school, I loved it, but I hated it, but I secretly loved the drill so much.
Mm-hmm.
Is it was me, a 6'2", 6'3", 250-pound kid versus a 6'5", 300-pound kid
Mm-hmm.
named Jamari. Shout out to Jamari Johnson, by the way. Coolest dude I've ever met. Coolest dude I've ever played with. He went up to trying to play football. But anyway, I'm Brian Jones. He's Coach David Stevens. Thank you for listening. Football is more than just a game. It's a passion. Some would say it's a way of life. And now you can wear that passion with pride. Introducing the Sideline Shenanigans merch store, a collection of premium tees, hoodies, and hats made for fans who live and breathe football. From game day to every day, our gear keeps you comfortable and looking sharp. Every piece is designed to match the energy you bring to the game, bold, effortless, and built for those who know what it means to be a true fan. Visit Sideline Shenanigans pod.printify.me today and grab your gear. It's time to wear your love for the game. Sideline Shenanigans merch, because the game never stops and neither should your passion.